Welcome to the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi After the Show podcast.
Murphy, Sam told me on the low that he had like 30, 40 trick-or-treaters.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have
impressive.
any candy left?
Yeah, I do.
From the other night?
Because when they started hitting me early. And so then the panic sets in. It's like, I need a ration here. Mm-hmm. So I was given like 3 little pieces to each kid.
And then you realized.
And then.
You got to keep going.
All of a sudden, poof, it ended. And it was just like nobody was coming anymore. So
I
still have a pumpkin full.
Well, you live in a neighborhood that's conducive to that. Jodi and I know. You've got sidewalks. It's a subdivision, all of those things.
When we lived in a neighborhood that would have been hot for trick-or-treating, we were trick-or-treating in other places with our friends so that our kids could trick-or-treat with their friends. So when we lived in places that would have been hot for trick-or-treating, which we did live in a house.
Oh, yeah, it was fun.
We didn't hand out candy, though, because we weren't there for trick-or-treat night, is what I'm saying.
But the street that we live on now has drainage ditches on either side. And
people go too fast.
Speed limit's 40 miles an hour. Yeah. It's just not.
So you didn't even do the honor bucket?
No. Mr. Honor Bucket over here turned the porch light off. And he was like, let's just keep this candy to ourselves.
Yes.
Well, the thing is, we didn't have that much candy. There were a couple of things that led to that. One of them is we really didn't have that much candy. And I was afraid of us being, hit up out of the blue. And then the worst thing would be, sorry,
I'm sorry, not having any candy.
And then the other thing about it is, all right, 6 years in a row, I've tried this already. No one ever showed up each of the other years, and it's like, okay, well, so then let's just do the civil thing, turn the lights off so you don't entice, and then let's just go watch TV, Jodi. And that's what we did.
We were so tired Friday night anyway. I welcomed that.
Although we picked something very Halloweenish to watch.
Oh.
I mean, I say that. It was a true crime doc.
Well, that was the next night.
What do you mean that was the next night?
I don't think we watched that on Halloween night, did we? I think we watched the true crime thing the next night. I've been wanting to tell Sam about it, too, because he watched it.
Wait, what did we watch on Halloween night?
Don't even remember. That's how tired we were. I don't remember.
Wow, I'm getting my days mixed up then.
Wow.
Yeah, you are.
Well, okay, so it was a true crime weekend.
Anyway, wait, before we get to what we watched, I want to say this. It was so cute because on Friday evening before trick-or-treat started, I knew what the trick-or-treat times were, and I wanted to go exercise and walk. And so I put on my vest and I go down, out off of our main street as quickly as I can because of the traffic and how fast people go. So I trick-or-treat in a more neighborhoody area.
You don't trick-or-treat.
I'm sorry. I was walking in a more neighborhoody
Now we know what you were doing.
And I was so surprised early, as you said, to see families out, these kids in costume going up and down the sidewalks. And I'm looking at my clock going, it's not time to trick or treat. But what they were doing, they were trick or treating early with people they knew, their neighbors, a row of 6 or 7 houses. And you could tell because the parents were all out talking. They all knew each other. I saw the parents dress up too and shout out for the families who parents dress up too. Like I saw a mom and dad dressed as Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Mm-hmm. It was so cute. He was in the jersey, but he had a beard drawn on because he didn't have facial hair.
I had one. It was a dad and his little tiny girl. She was dressed like a princess. He didn't come up to me. He just stood in the driveway, and he was Pennywise.
Oh, yeah.
In the dark from a distance. It's just like, and he's like, hey, thanks for the candy. And I was like, no, that's not how you do it.
Yeah.
You just stand there and hold the balloon.
Yeah.
So fun. It's just fun to see it. If it's been a while since your children were trick-or-treat age, watching that from afar is just fantastic, and you only get so many of those in life, and you got to enjoy them. Mm-hmm. But there was like a group of all boys coming my way. There was one, there was a Spider-Man, there was a Pokemon, and then there was some kid in one of those big blow-up dinosaur costumes. You can't see anything. You can't see the kid at all. It's just a big blow-up dinosaur coming at you. So cute. I wished I'd have had something to give them.
Yeah.
But I was just, exercising. But it was way early. It was before. And what I think happened, because by the time I made the block twice, which is what I do, my walk, they had kind of been to each other's homes. And then they had loaded up into SUVs and they went somewhere else.
Other
neighborhoods. Yeah, to other parties and things like that. So cute. That's when I got home, took a shower. You arrived home and we sat down and ate and watched something. I don't recall what we watched that first night. It doesn't matter, right? We were just done. At the end of the week, it was Friday. Mm-hmm. But by the time Saturday evening rolled around, we had watched some football during the day and, whatever. But we decided, Murphy suggested Wicked, the first movie. And I just didn't feel like I was in the mood for a movie.
Well, I wanted to. The second one's coming out. It's big.
We'll do it soon.
We haven't seen it, and it's so iconic.
I want to.
We've got to. Yeah.
Actually, the second one's supposed to be better than the first, so I do want to do that one day soon. It just wasn't. Sometimes you're not in the mood for a movie.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want an episode that you can either go yes to the next one or no.
Yeah, 30 minutes.
So I wanted less commitment. So we start flipping around, Sam. And it's like, we do like true crime. I like true crime. Murphy doesn't watch a lot of it. And it was one that you definitely watched a couple of years ago, and we've never watched it.
It's a couple
I know
of
the
years
headlines
old.
for sure.
We are so far behind.
We are. Doesn't matter though.
No.
The Murdoch murders.
Oh yeah.
I don't.
Which one did you watch? There were two of them.
Okay, it was the Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was a good one.
It starts with the boating accident, which is
Yeah.
really hard to watch. But I thought it was only going to be about that. I didn't realize there were just skeletons in the closet all over the place.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I mean, what I saw in the news,
A lot of headlines.
was what I saw in the news, and I remember that. But I didn't know all the detail, and I think that this ended. That documentary came out in 2023, 22 or whatever. So it's a couple of years old now.
Oh yeah.
I think this was before the conviction. Actually,
Yeah.
It was.
That documentary ended before the conviction of Alec Murdaugh.
I mean, this documentary ended with him in jail speaking to his older son going, "Did Netflix call you?"
Yeah.
We were dying laughing at that. I thought that was a really funny way. What's the other one, Sam?
I don't know what it's called, but I believe
You watched it?
I believe it's on HBO.
You watched both of them, didn't
Yeah,
you?
and a lot of it's the same information, but each one touches on certain things that the other doesn't have.
Of course.
So you get the full story. And then I think it's Netflix right now has one that's it's an acted out one. It's not a documentary.
Murphy found that
dramatization.
one too, dramatization.
Yeah.
I'm not interested.
Yeah,
in
you
that.
got to
Yeah.
be really, really into a true
Yeah.
crime story to watch the dramatization of it too, when you already know the documentary
real
style
story. Yeah.
breakdown. Right, but I will. Look, there are certain crimes you know that if something comes out about it, I'm going to watch it.
The one that you saw on Netflix, was it the one that covered the kid on the road too?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. There's so many things.
Yeah, it's like how many skeletons in the
Yeah.
closet?
Well, and they didn't answer all of those either. I mean, they told those stories, but some of them didn't have any conclusion.
Right.
In the
Closure.
the guy that the checks were supposedly written to. You
Right.
never heard you heard that all these checks were written to this guy, but you never heard why or what came out of it. So there were some, there were unfinished storylines.
Well, maybe we
in
should
it.
watch the other one on HBO, Murph.
Maybe they've
once
got an
you're
answer
in, you're in.
But you know what?
Right?
Yeah. How
Well,
did you
yeah.
like a true crime, Murphy?
Oh, I mean, I was sucked in. We watched the whole thing in one sitting because, and they were really short episodes anyway. But the story, well, for one thing, they always hook you right into the next one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
They
you're
know
not
when
gonna,
to end. He even said that. Man, the way they end it, it's like they got you.
Yeah,
That's their job.
but it just, because you can't believe what it is that you're seeing, you want to sit there until you know what the answer is, and you want to see what the outcome was. And so, knowing that, I had to Google afterwards though, because it did end before where we are today,
where
right?
we are.
So it's like it's technically 3 years old now, and a lot's happened in those 3 years.
I wonder why they don't just add on and tack on.
Yeah, some documentaries or true crime do that.
Okay.
If there's been a resolution
Sure.
after the credits, it'll be
Yeah.
since then, blah, blah, blah. But who knows?
Well, I remember when you were watching that like it was your job, and you come and
yeah.
you start talking to me about it. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not watching this one.
I was obsessed with that
Can't
one for
share
a while.
it with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. What what was the hook? Like you can't believe.
I don't know. The fact that I think it was it wasn't the car thing on the road, and it wasn't the boating thing, because I knew nothing about those.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was just what happened at the property with
Right.
the mom and the kid.
That's really,
And it was
really.
like, whoa, I
Yeah.
want to see what happened here.
And that's actually what made the national headlines
Yeah.
and the news and everything first. And so if somebody hadn't gone in and done the documentary, I don't know. And I guess what was really interesting to me too, and you have to be careful because you wonder how much of it is just an opinion or a thought, because they had a private investigator there. They had two different journalists, who gave, it was really interesting to me how deep those how deep the private investigator went. I know that's his job.
Yes.
But the journalists were also really detailed in going and getting everything that was publicly available, whether
That's
it was
their job.
body cam footage, whether it was just documentation, all the things that are, public domain, but you have to actually go sit and cull through all of that to tell the story. And it's just interesting to see what those pieces were. And, if it really, I'm sure that this documentary is also dramatized in a way where, it made it look like, the Murdaugh family ruled the whole city and county, and they probably did have, some sort of
serious influence there.
And for anybody that was born, raised, and grew up in, in that particular area, I'm sure knows of that influence. But it's really easy for it to get exaggerated a little bit in a documentary, and it makes you wonder,
Well,
and
some things may be exaggerated, but facts are facts.
Yeah.
Like, documentation about, people showing up and trying to rewrite a story or cover-ups. That's why there's a documentary. That's why there's an oh wow factor to the story. To me, if you are in that, if it's your job to produce a true crime documentary, does it check all these boxes? Is it interesting because of this, that, and the other thing? Do you have, can you go back in time? You have to be careful, like with paying attention to dates. If they're showing you something from 2019, then the next thing they're showing you is from 2017. You need to make note of that. Yeah. And that was definitely true in this one. Yeah. So anyway, maybe we'll watch the other.
The time scroll.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, one other thing, and not Sam? To be the cynic here, but I found this in a lot of the true crime documentaries when I watch them.
Yes.
Pick them apart. When it's a talking head person, like a journalist or just like somebody who saw something.
Right.
Watch those people because they talk and they edit them in like little sound bites. And I've always wondered, okay, are they telling the person this is how I want you to say it?
Oh.
You need to watch them and watch.
You're wondering if they're being coached?
Yes, you need to watch how they lay it out because a lot of the stuff, it's not a person talking for like 5 or 6 minutes straight.
And
it's
then
usually,
edits.
It's usually like in 20 seconds.
So they speak in sound bites.
Yes.
Okay.
And you can tell if you really want to get nitpicky and you watch the video of it, you can tell that blah, blah, blah. And then they stop and it's like, okay, that's what they were told. Just stop there.
Right, because it's not a natural way of speaking.
Right. And it's just a little nitpicky thing I picked up.
That's okay.
And I don't know how much of it is coached and how much of it is just say this.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of it could be just questions and answers, or if the interviewer, is asking the question and they give an answer and it wasn't spoken clearly or something, they're saying, "Hey, can you tell me that again?" Right. So it could be that. But it also could be
coaching.
What you're saying, the reality TV factor. I mean, who knows if that's where it's actually
Correct.
going or not.
Look, watch it because you're curious and because you're interested and you're looking for some sort of escape, but don't watch it as it's law. Yeah. Don't watch it as this is it.
And, certain documentaries are just, they flow better than, than others.
Storytelling.
The Gabby Petito, and I realize that's a very different type of documentary because it was so much original footage that she actually shot, that helped tell that story. But this one, the Murdaugh one, the Netflix one, was a little bit difficult to follow at first. It was very facts and timeline, and look, they did their homework on it clearly, but it was like a laundry list. It was exactly, and instead
they almost lost us at first, actually.
And so, but there's still unanswered questions, and maybe these are still unanswered, but they didn't address it in the documentary. Where did all the misappropriated funds go? Did he ever say why?
He was paying stuff off. Apparently.
What's the reason? How did it actually turn into that? I get that the story is based on all these crazy things that somehow are they tied together? Right. This is really bad to be really coincidental. How? And so that makes it very sensational. That makes it very
keeps you watching.
Yeah, it's but it also left holes to me in just a few places.
Well, because it was done so early.
Yeah.
If they do it now,
well, you're right about that.
Here's what's up. One that I watched last year was the Lacey Peterson documentary. And I remember following that story all those years ago, Murphy.
Was that Scott Peterson in the boat?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And years ago, there were sort of holes in that story for me just following it in the news, and I followed it. I can't remember if it was because I was pregnant at the same time or I had a small child at the same time or
and
whatever.
the only way to have followed that story, that was really pre-social media. So news was the only way to follow it.
So here's what's up, though. In time, they had more pieces together. They were really able to really tell that story. And Lacey Peterson's mother agreed to speak in that. And she gave brave, it wasn't just emotional. She gave factual things too. And I thought it was really one of the best family interviews I've ever seen for a true crime documentary, because she obviously had a lot of feelings about it, but she tried to be factual. And I just remember going away from that thinking, her mother just touched me so much for being brave enough to speak. Kind of like Gabby Petito's parents.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They were so brave, because that documentary could have gone without them participating, without them opening themselves up to more pain.
Right.
But they did, probably because when they say I've never, thank goodness, but when you lose a child, they say talking about them keeps them alive for you, and it's a part of your process to keep them alive in whatever way. So if there's a cause attached to it, or some sort of unfinished business, or some sort of justice that needs to happen, of course you were there with bells on, telling that tale. But so the longer you have, the more information can come into play. And so there was so much information, it's almost worth it to wait.
Well, since
you wouldn't have holes in the story if you go back 10 years from now and watch it.
Yeah,
or a new one.
And you maybe some family members will be willing to be interviewed at that point. I guess I understand that also, because if there's still a trial that's going on, and that's when you're in the process of making it, family members are not necessarily going to be likely to speak out unless they're estranged from each other or something like that.
It's not a finished story. There are times when there are things that come out so soon, it's like, this is not even why.
Yeah, and legally, they may not speak. Because,
why is there a documentary? Yeah.
Well, and I think at the end of this one, it said that the Murdaugh family was, different members were asked for the interview. They all declined. Didn't get that. I totally understand that. And, then I guess they gave the outcome of a few situations in 2023 that they had addressed, like the 15-year-old, but even that, none of it really, to me, got wrapped up in a pretty bow at the end. So that you go,
Sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
That's welcome to true crime. Sometimes it's not a pretty bow. And in fact, if there's a bow, it's never pretty. It's just
especially
a tie.
if you want to be the network that gets the first one on the air. You're going to get it on without a solution. Let's just get it on.
Right, yeah, exactly.
I'm just happy to have Murphy wanting to watch true crime with me.
Yeah, which one are you going to pick next?
No idea.
Missed any part of the show? Get it all on the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi podcast.